I didn't hear the slap so much as feel the room rearrange itself around it. The door had barely closed behind me. My bag slid down my arm, caught on the handle, thudded to the floor. The clock on the microwave blinked 9:42 as if it were embarrassed to be seen. He was already there, already standing too close, already decided. "Do you even know what time it is, you idiot?" The word landed cleanly, practiced. The slap followed, not hard enough to leave a mark he'd have to explain, just enough to remind my body where it was. The smell of oil from the unused pan hung in the air. Someone had been waiting. I could tell by the way the house felt, tight, like it was holding its breath for me to fix it. "We had to wait because of you," he said. "Hurry up, get in the kitchen and cook." This was the part where I usually moved, apologized while my mouth was still numb, reached for an apron like it was a white flag. I knew the choreography down to the smallest beat. My body had learned it before my mind ever argued. But my feet didn't go anywhere. I stood there, keys still in my hand, metal biting into my palm. The silence stretched, not dramatic, not defiant, just absent. He noticed it the way people notice a skipped step on a staircase, too late to stop the stumble. "What are you doing?" he said, louder. Volume was his favorite tool. It usually worked. I looked at the clock again. 9:43 now. The numbers didn't flinch. They didn't explain themselves or ask permission. Something about that felt instructive. All day I had been on my feet at work, solving problems no one else wanted, answering questions people assumed I knew the answers to. I had been efficient, necessary, trusted with deadlines that mattered. The version of me who existed there did not rush when someone yelled. She paused, she documented. That thought didn't arrive as courage, it arrived as clarity, which is quieter and harder to argue with. "I'm not cooking," I said. The words surprised both of us. They weren't loud, they didn't carry heat, they were procedural, like stating a fact no one had checked yet. His face shifted, confusion first, then the familiar tightening. "Don't start," he said. "You're already late." I bent down and picked up my bag. My hands were steady enough to unzip it on the first try. That steadiness felt borrowed, like something I'd been trusted with temporarily. I stepped back toward the door instead of the kitchen. "You think walking away is going to help you?" he said. The question wasn't real. It was an order wearing punctuation. "I'm making a call," I said. Outside, the night air was cool and smelled like wet pavement. I hadn't planned what number I was dialing until my thumb did it for me. Muscle memory again, but this time from training sessions and posters in break rooms, from a quiet voice during orientation that had said, "If this ever happens to you, here is what you do." I described what happened without adjectives: time, place, action. The woman on the line didn't interrupt. She asked clarifying questions that felt like handrails. When she said help was on the way, it wasn't comforting exactly, it was official. Inside, something broke. Not loudly. A chair scraped. A door opened and closed. He came out onto the porch, then stopped when he saw my face, the phone still at my ear. Panic crept in sideways, disguised as irritation. "You calling your sister?" he asked, too casual. "No," I said. The lights from the patrol car cut across the yard before he could say anything else. Blue and red moved over the siding, over the windows, over the version of our life we'd kept dim on purpose. The neighbors' curtains twitched. The house exhaled. The officers were calm in the way people are when they know exactly what happens next. Names were asked for, statements taken. The word protocol floated through the air like a boundary you could trip over if you weren't paying attention. He tried to explain. He always did. He gestured toward the kitchen, toward the clock, toward me, as if assembling a case from familiar props. His voice rose, then fell when it didn't move anything. When they asked if I needed medical attention, I said no. When they asked if I felt safe staying, I paused. That pause mattered more than any speech I could have given. The kitchen stayed unused. The pan cooled. No one waited for dinner anymore. Later, after forms and instructions and the soft click of a door closing that wasn't mine, I sat alone at the table. The clock read 10:18. My cheek throbbed dully, like a reminder rather than a wound. I didn't feel victorious. I felt emptied out, and then, under that, upright. Dignity doesn't arrive with fireworks. It shows up like furniture you forgot you owned, already scratched, still usable. Tomorrow would bring consequences, paperwork, conversations I didn't want, the slow work of deciding what comes next. None of that was solved by tonight, but the clock kept time without asking anything of me. And for the first time in